In chapter 30, money, growth, and inflation, we discuss these topics. How does money supply affect inflation and nominal interest rate? So we discuss inflation and interest rate. And then does the money supply affect real variables like real GDP or real interest rate? So of effects of uh, money supply on real variables. And inflation is like a tax. So it is called the inflation tax. We are going to discuss that. And what are the costs of inflation? Why inflation is bad? So we discuss these topics in chapter 30. And then we are going to use quantity theory of money to explain those topics. Prices rise, it is called inflation, when the Federal Reserve supplies too much money. Most economists believe the quantity theory is a good explanation of the long-run behavior of inflation. Now, there are two causes, two explanations of inflation. One is supply side, the other one is demand side. But inflation can happen from supply side. If prices, when cost of production goes up, and if lack of supply of resources happen, then the price production cost goes up, and then that will cause cost push inflation. And demand side is called demand pull inflation. In this case, prices go up because of high demand for products. People buy goods and services more and more than people, price level goes up. That means inflation rate goes up. It is caused by mostly higher income. Income level goes up, then price level also tends to go up. And also, if the Federal Reserve in the United States or central bank in other countries supply more, too much money, then inflation happens. We will discuss demand side inflation first. We will focus on demand side inflation in this chapter. Now let's define the value of money. P is the price level. This P in this chapter is not the price of a certain good. It's not a price of. It does not mean a price of Apple, price of your automobile like that. Instead, it is price indicator like CPI or GDP deflator. So the value of money and the supply of money has negative relationship, right? And also price level and value of money has negative relationship. That means higher price means lower value of money. If you pay more money for the same good, right? The same good, then that means well, value of money went down. In other words, price level went up. Well, that's reciprocal. Price level goes up, that means value of money goes down. Now, who determines supply of money in the real world? In the United States, the Federal Reserve and the banking system basically determines the money supply. Now, so we assume the Federal Reserve controls the money supply. Money demand, MD, in our model refers to how much wealth people want to hold in liquid form. How much wealth? If you have a certain amount of wealth, if you have such as $100 wealth, then do you want to hold $10 in cash or not? But that determines money demand in our economy. So it depends on level of price. An increase in price reduces the value of money, so well, more money is required. More money is necessary to buy goods and services. So demand for money goes up. So quantity of money demanded is negatively related to the value of money and positively related to level of price, right? If other things stay the same. For higher price things, we need to have more money to buy. Necessity for money is demand for money. This diagram shows, well, this is from your textbook. This diagram shows the negative relationship, reciprocal relationship between the value of money and price level. Value of money is 1 over P, reciprocal of price, right? So when price level goes up from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, value of money goes down from 1 to a quarter, right? So that's the diagram. And money supply is set by the Federal Reserve at a certain point. That amount is determined. It's not determined by market. This amount is determined. We assume that whatever the price is. Now, the money's demand for money is in negative relationship with the value of money. Demand for money goes up. As demand for money, quantity of money goes up, value of money goes down. In other words, if value of money goes up, if value of money goes down, quantity of money goes up. And at the same time, if we bring in money supply in the same diagram, then we'll find equilibrium value of money and equilibrium price level at point A, or crossing point, right? If money supply goes up, suppose the Federal Reserve increases the money supply, then what? Value of money goes further down. It goes further down, right? And then new equilibrium is point B, and value of money goes down from A to B, and then level of price goes up. So using this diagram, we know the relationship between the value of money and the price is a negative one, right? Just remember that. Now let's talk about what does real variables and nominal variables. Nominal variables are measured in monetary units. So the value of nominal variables include price level also. So for example, nominal GDP, nominal interest rate, nominal wages are nominal variables. Real variables are obtained by eliminating price effect on nominal variables. So, well, conceptually, real GDP, real interest rate, real wages are real variables. One simple example with you. Um, well, let's talk about real wages. In your textbook, real wages are measured by real physical product or services. But here, let's use this simple example here. Let's assume you got two offers, job offers. Chicago job promises you $60,000 annual salary. New York job offers you $70,000 per year here. But at the same time, price level in Chicago is 110, in New York is 130. As we discussed before, these numbers, these price numbers are percentage numbers. 110 in Chicago means level of price is 110 if base year's level of price is 100, right? So in Chicago price level is 110. That means in decimal number it is 1.1, right? In New York it's 130. In decimal number it is 1.3. So we divide a nominal wage by price level for each case. Then we got the real number, real salary. Real salary. So in this case, in nominal value, New York job pays you a higher salary, right? New York job pays you a higher salary, but in real term, well, Chicago job pays you a little bit higher, right? Not very different, but anyway, a little bit higher level in real term. Now, let's talk about quantity theory of money. This gives you idea about the relationship between supply of money and inflation. It was developed a long time ago by David Hume, but current model we are going to use was developed by Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman's theory is expressed by the quantity equation of exchange. So for short, we usually call it equation of exchange. This one is called equation of exchange. MV equals PY. Here, M is value of, the stock of money stock. And V is velocity of money. V is velocity of money. That means, well, how fast, that is, so how fast, it measures how fast money circulate. That is velocity of money. This P is a level of price, such as GDP, deflator, or CPI. So Y is real GDP. This is real this Y is real GDP and if P is price level, so PY means nominal GDP. Okay, P times Y is nominal GDP and Y is real GDP. Yeah, because PY divided by P is Y. That's how we get real GDP. Velocity of money is the rate which money changes hands. So it's how fast it goes. Velocity is not really measurable, but theoretically we estimate using this formula. V equals PY over M. We know price level and we know real GDP. We know supply of money in our economy from the Federal Reserve's record, right? Data. This graph shows velocity of money is very stable for a long time. See here, M2 money goes up like this, and the nominal GDP goes up just like M2. Velocity of money stays the same, right? Almost the same. Remember that. It's almost constant, right? It's almost constant. Constant means stay the same, such as velocity of money is like 5, it's always 5, something like that, right? Now, Milton Friedman also argued that supply more money does not affect real variables. That is called monetary neutrality, or neutrality of money. So doubling money supply without economic growth, that means without no growth of real GDP, causes always nominal price to double. Such as this is M dot is growth rate of money, V dot is growth rate of velocity, P dot is growth rate of price, Y dot is growth rate of real income. This is Milton Friedman's version of equation of exchange to show the relationship of supply of money and real income and inflation rate. What is growth rate of money? Well, such as the Federal Reserve supplied by 10% more than before, then 10% is growth rate of money supply. Growth rate of velocity is what? From previous graph shows velocity of velocity of money was constant, right? What is the growth rate of constant number? 0. So this one is 0. Price P dot is growth rate of price. That means inflation rate, right? This is inflation rate. And Y dot is growth rate of real GDP, or growth rate of real income, or in other words, we can say growth rate of the economy. We know every year this is a certain percent. Well, nowadays, U.S. economy is growing like at 2% or 3%. This year probably it should be lower than that. Such as this is such as 3%. Let's say that 3%, and then the Federal Reserve increases supply of money by such as 6% when economic growth is 3%. Then what? Well, inflation rate goes up by that 6% minus 3%. Inflation rate goes up by that percent, 3%. At that point, economic growth, more than the supply of money, growth rate of supply of money, more than the growth rate of the economy, will increase inflation rate only, not real GDP. That is called neutrality of money. And then we can use this equation to figure out how much more inflation we're going to see in our economy. So one more example here is, let's say we have corn. The economy has enough labor, capital, and land to produce, let's say Y equals 800 bushels of corn. Well, the economy produces that much, right? Velocity is constant. In that year, money supply is 2,000, price is $5 per bushel. For year 2015, the Federal Reserve increases money supply by 5%. So it's going to be from 2,000 to 2,100. Then we can compute the value of nominal GDP. Nominal GDP is P times Y, right? And then P, we can compute that using those numbers. Now, national income, real GDP, because of technological progress, increases to 824 from 800, and then we can compute inflation rate. We are going to use again MV equals P times Y. Here this is nominal GDP. Okay. So well, in 2014, P times Y equals MV, right? PY equals MV. So V is constant 2. And then using that number, we can say 2015 nominal GDP is 2,100 times 2. So this M V, that's 4,200. And now for 2015, we can figure out price level using this formula, and we know MV, MV here divided by Y, that's $5.25. And then inflation rate is what? Price level went up from, what's the price? Price was $5, right? $5 to $5.25 dollars, right? And then see here, 5.25 minus $5 over divided by 5. That is here 5.25 minus 5 is 0.25 divided by 5. Yeah, this is 5%, right? Same as 5%. Well, the same is well, for 2015. We can use the same formula and then figure out the inflation rate. So from the Milton Friedman version of quantity theory of money, we can say that if real GDP is constant, then inflation rate is the same as growth rate of money supply. If real GDP is growing, then inflation rate is less than money growth rate, right? In this case, supplying more money is good because real GDP is growing. How can we make real GDP grow by supplying more money? That depends on where the money went. If money was used, more money was used in research and development or was finding more resources, then well, this can happen. Inflation rate is not growing a lot, but real GDP can grow by supplying more money for that kind of long-term investment. So, well, these are some more discussions also. Economic growth increases number of transactions. That is true. Then what? Then GDP will go up, right? GDP goes up. So more money growth is needed for these extra transactions. That is why the Fed need to supply more money into the economy. If economy grows really, then the Federal Reserve need to supply more money to finance all of those more transactions. Excessive, more than the economic growth, excessive money supply causes inflation. That is, well, demand pull inflation. Well, actually, Milton Friedman emphasized that most inflation came from excessive supply of money. Now, hyperinflation is when inflation rate is more than 50% per month. This is a really bad situation for our economy. Prices rise when the government prints too much money. That happened in many economies. Let's say a large government budget deficit, Zimbabwe, African country, experienced these kind of things, and then the country printed a lot of money and supplied more money. And then say the value of money goes down, right? See here, per dollar per dollar Zimbabwe dollar is 245 in year 2007. I mean, the country printed more and more money, and then $1 equals $1 equals 29,401 Zimbabwe dollar, such as it goes down and down. So value of that country's money goes down and down, right? Here, they devalued their money like that, such as a million Zimbabwe dollar became one new Zimbabwe dollar, such as if a country prints a lot of more money, then it is kind of tax. Everyone in that country, in that economy, pay more money for the same good. It looks like a tax, so it is called inflation tax. Now the Fisher effect is, well, Fisher effect can be explained by a Fisher equation. Nominal interest rate equals real interest rate plus inflation rate. Fisher, well-known economist, found a relationship between nominal interest rate and inflation. He found that nominal interest rate goes up when inflation rate goes up. So he figured out nominal interest rate is real interest rate plus inflation rate. Real interest rate is something, the real value of interest. So he found nominal interest rate is increasing when inflation rate goes up. When not, what is actually real nominal interest rate? The interest rate we read in newspaper or at your bank account, those were written. Those are called nominal interests. The nominal interest rate is fixed in that at a certain point. That is calculated by adding inflation rate and some premiums on real interest rate. Let's say you borrow such as a student loan from a bank. Let's say $10,000. They say such as it is 6%. It is quoted, right? Quoted interest. Quoted interest rate is called nominal interest rate. How did they found this 6%? There can be a certain level of interest rate they want to make. This is their income, the lender's income. On that, they add some premiums. One is inflation premium. If they expect inflation rate will be 2%, they add that. This is inflation, okay? Inflation. And they add also your individual risk, or will this person pay back correctly or without any problem, something like that. If they find, but no one is zero here in this case. If they have, well, you are a good person, just add just 1% only, then they will figure out this is called quoted interest rate, and that's what we are saying nominal interest rate here. Okay. If though the lender figure out lender expects inflation is really large, let's say such as 10%, they will add this number here, and then this quoted inflation interest rate will be 10 plus 1% plus 3%. So it's going to be 14%. Is it 14? Right. And then that is called quoted interest rate. And in other words, in your textbook, it is called nominal interest rate. Okay. But at that time, real interest rate does not change. This is real interest rate. It does not change. So this graph shows the relationship between nominal wage and CPI. Nominal wage tend to go along with CPI. If CPI goes up, nominal wage goes up. Okay. If nominal wage, nominal wage depends on CPI, such as your wage tend to be compensated or adjusted to CPI usually. That's called COLA, cost of living adjustment. Cost of living adjustment is called COLA. The nominal wage tend to be kind of compensated or made up by CPI. Cost of inflation includes the shoe leather costs and menu cost. Resources wasted when inflation encourages people to reduce their money holdings. Yeah, it can be substantial. Menu cost of changing prices. Well, if sellers want to have to change prices, they have to pay some to advertise or menus, right? And tax distortion is another cost of inflation. Inflation makes nominal income grow faster than real income. Taxes are based on a nominal income. So people tend to pay more taxes, right? More taxes even when their real income don't increase.